Hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Janani. Today I'm going to show you guys how to make these fancy earrings. So here are the clay colors I'll be using today. These purple shades are created using some leftover scrap clay, of course, and some white and yellow clay as well. So to create the petals for the flowers, I'm gonna be doing a skinny blend. It is kind of like a gradient. I have demonstrated this technique before in some of my videos, but if you guys like more in-depth tutorial, please let me know. There's so many resources out there. So I began rolling the dark purple clay into a teardrop shape first, and then I got the yellow clay and the light purple clay, all of them just making them into teardrop shapes, and I will be adding them all together in opposite direction. I'll show you just in a minute here. I am placing them together in opposite directions like so. So I did add the white clay next to the yellow clay and before the light purple clay, but it did not show up very well on the blend, so that's okay. Keep in mind sometimes when you add colors it may not show up as it blends through. Here I'm making sure that the clay is stuck together very well before running it through the pasta machine. I'm also using my roller to flatten it beforehand. Next, I ran the clay through the pasta machine several times until it's blended nicely. When you're putting it through, make sure it's the full side first. Once I got a decent gradient, I sliced the clay into 1 centimeter each sections. This was done with the gradient going horizontal. And I just wanted to remind you guys all the tools and supplies that I use in this tutorial will be linked down in the description box. Make sure you check it out. So here I'm stacking the clay on top of each other, and I'm also avoiding picking up neighboring pieces, so this way the pattern that's going to create will be irregular. You'll see in a second why this is important. Now that I have this stack of clay, I'm going to be using an acrylic block, the small little one, to reduce the size of the cane to make sure everything is nice and bonded together. So I wanted to add more details to these petals. What I did was I sliced the cane in half vertically and pushed them side by side. I know that was a really crappy explanation, but I hope visually it makes sense for you guys. So I worked on reducing the cane a little bit more to my desired size. I also shaped it into kind of like a petal shape. And this is totally optional. I'll show you guys how to shape the petal later on in this video. So for this colorway, I chose this aubergine color to go as my top petals. And I also created another colorway using just the yellow and the light purple. So I'm an aspiring gardener. I love having beautiful things in my garden, but I'm lazy. So I got some of these pansies last fall and put them out. And in North Texas, we don't get very many below freezing days. But after a rough winter, our pansies are still standing and they are blooming. They are so beautiful. My dogs pee on them, but they're fine. They're hardy little things and they're so colorful and bright. I love them. Anyhow, I put these canes in the freezer for about 10ish minutes so it can harden, and it will be easier for me to slice them through. I used a clean new blade and tried to slice them through to even pieces, but I do really need to work on my slicing skills because they turned out different widths, but that's okay. We can work with that. We are gonna give them a little bit more love. So as I slice into this cane, you can see the variations on the petals. I wish it was a little bit more variegated than this, but of course we can work with this as well. To create the flower, I will be using 3 variegated petals and 2 solid petals. I know I have 3 on the table, but please do ignore that. I'm using my fingers, a bowl tool and a needle tool to give some texture to these petals, and I'm also mindful to be only thinning out the edge of the petals. Honestly, your fingers thinning the petals out with the fingers would work better than using any other tools, but I had my nails done. This is the first time that they have been this long in a long time. For those who actually work with clay and have really long fingernails, how do you deal with it? Do you have any tips and tricks? If you do have, please do leave me a comment down below because I'm struggling. So this petal that I'm working on is going to be the top petal of my flower. So what I did was I used my needle tool to kind of create like a dent or a lip on the middle of this petal. And I continued adding texture and thinned out the rest of the petals as well. So the assembly of the flower, I actually accidentally filmed it on time-lapse, but basically I cut a circle as the base and arranged the aubergine petals, first overlapping on the top, 2 variated petals on the side, and lastly the top petal. And to create the center of the flower, I got a bowl of yellow clay, and using this kind of scoop tool, I pushed the center in. This created like a horseshoe kind of shape. Next, I added a little bit more details on these flowers. I used the needle tool to add some lines, like sketch some lines on the middle of the flower, and also folded and rippled the edges of the flowers as well. And we are almost at the end of this tutorial. These are how the flowers look before baking. I cured them in the oven, like always, at 275 Fahrenheit for an hour, but you can of course get away with 45 minutes since these are thin enough. I of course put them on a piece of printed paper and covered it with aluminum foil, that way I don't burn them. Once the flowers are cooled down, I drill some holes and added the hardware. And here's how they turned out. I really enjoyed making this and this tutorial, of course. I do have an exciting a video coming up next week. It is gonna be a super exciting collaboration, and I have exciting news. I'll be opening up my channel a little bit more, so make sure you have your notifications on. And I thank you for joining with me today, and I'll see you in the next one.